Okay, so to do a bowl, it's pretty similar to doing a cylinder in a lot of ways. You're going to do the centering the same way, and the initial opening is similar. But so what I'm going to do here is slap my clay down, pat it into center, get my wheel going, and then I'm going to get my clay nice and wet here. And my initial push is going to be down first, like that. I'm going to bring it up to get it centered, squeezing at the base at first until I get my ball shape, and then I'm going to bring it up into a taller form like that. Push back down to get it centered. Okay, so now I have it centered. I'm going to open. To do that, I'm going to use my thumbs to make that little indentation that I call finding the center. Go back with the middle finger of the left and use these two fingers to do my opening, my right hand on top with the sponge so I can squeeze out water if I need it. So I'm going to go down. I'm going to leave some space for my foot ring later, so I want to get that maybe 1/2 inch depth at the base and have this sort of funnel shaped hole to start out with. So this is where it starts to change a little bit from a cylinder. So when I'm making a cylinder, I pull out, parallel to the wheel head like that. So when I'm going to make a bowl, I let my finger come up a bit, so I create a slightly more curved shape at the base. Okay, so I'm going to start to pull out like that and let my finger come up a bit, and I'm also going to let the piece get a little wider like that than I would for a cylinder. I'm going to go back and still do my compression on the inside, but I'm just doing it a little more curved than really flat. All right, and this is subtle. It's a slight difference. It's not huge. And then now it starts to change quite a bit. So when I pull up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it at an angle like that. So I want to go at an angle and start to widen out the top. Also, when I pull up, I'm going to really push a lot more with my outside finger than I would with when I'm doing my cylinder shapes. All right, so I'm going to push more down here and then start to pull at an angle like that. And I want to leave a little thickness at the lip, okay, like that. All right, so now I'm going to go back inside. I like to start with my finger in the center. I'm going to wet the whole thing a bit. Now I can't reach with my thumb, so I'm going to use my finger and the sponge together at the base. Again, I'm going to start in the center. As I'm bringing my finger over on the inside though, then I'm going to start really pushing again more with the outside finger to create that little hump there. And that's what I'm pulling, again at an angle, like this. So I'm not trying to form my bowl shape yet, okay? I'm just trying to get some height for the material and get it in the general direction of a bowl. All right, so wet this inside one more time. There might be a little more material down there that I can bring up, so I'll wet the whole thing a bit. Again, with my finger, I can put my thumb on my other hand here. I'm going to start to bring that up from the center and then pull again one more time at an angle, regulating my pressure as I come up to the thinner area. I'm going to press less. Okay, still leaving a little bit of thickness at the lip. All right, so now that I've done all my pulling at this point, I'm going to take my sponge, get the water out of the inside like this. So I don't want a big pool of water just sitting in there. Next, I'm going to take my knife. Let's see, I don't like that one. Use this one. I'm going to come down here, and this time I'm going to cut at that angle, and the angle that I've already sort of established there. Instead of going straight down like I would for a cylinder, I'm going to come at an angle. And I'm starting with the blade perpendicular to the piece and then tip the back towards me, grab it with my left, and I need to hold the blade very firmly, keeping the blade against the body of the pot as I cut down to the base, like that, okay? Once I do that initial cut, I want to undercut that ring I've established there, like that, stop my wheel, I can cut this away, like that, make a little ball out of this, I can save this material and reuse it, so I put it over there. All right, so now I have my initial bowl shape happening here, but I can now start to play with shaping it out more. I'm gonna put a little water on the inside so I can have some lubrication. I can just use my fingers on the outside initially if I want, or the sponge, and I'm just gonna sort of spread my fingers a little bit so I'm not pushing all in one area, and I'm kind of pushing out the bottom to whiten out the bottom a little bit. But I want to keep it in an arc shape. I don't want to push out too far flat over this smaller base that I've established. If it starts coming too flat like that, it can collapse pretty easily. So I want to maintain that arc. That arc is what's self-supporting and can help me. Let me see what I've got here. I got my metal rib here. I'm going to come back with this to help me shape on the outside of it. So I can use this, I can kind of flex it like this. I'm going to use my fingers on the inside and the blade on the outside, like this. To shape it a little bit more. That will also remove the really slippery stuff that's on the outside. It can make it a little easier to get it off the wheel. You can make a nice surface if you like that sort of very flat or smooth surface. I could come back and play around with the lip. If I want to say thicken up the lip a little bit, I could put my two fingers here and I'll lubricate it a little bit like that, and then come with my other finger and push down a little bit to thicken it up, or to shape it more into kind of a flatter surface like that. I prefer that. Maybe I want to push that out slightly. You know, so you can play around with different tools. You can use the back of the knife to kind of create a little ring there, just under the lip, whatever. You can do a million things. So, but basically I finished my bowl at this point. I'm gonna take my wire here. I like to have it rotate one rotation as I pull the wire through. It'll do a more even cut like that. So just cut it like that. And then I'm gonna try my hands a little bit. With a bowl, it's kind of easy. I use my fingers like this and just get underneath it like that and try to pick it. Set it over here and push it a little bit from the base if it got slightly distorted, and it should go back pretty much. Okay? And trimming is pretty much the same, you know, when it comes to trimming for the foot ring. Okay? So, there's any questions about it?
Wait, sorry, 2 pounds of clay? Like
I always start with 2 pounds of clay, yeah. 2 pounds of clay. This was 2 pounds of clay right here. So. All right, thank you. And I'll try to post this online too, so you can see it.